Well, thank you, Vincent. And yes, we do have a special guest for more perspective on Mr. Mandela. I'm now joined by Emira Woods, Co-Director of Foreign Policy in Focus at the Institute for Policy Studies here in Washington. Always a pleasure to have you.
It's an honor.
Sad occasion today.
Without a doubt.
Of course, as we just heard Anita saying, everybody knew it was going to happen, but somehow now that it has, it's a real shock. But of course, it's also now thrown open the conversation, analysis about his legacy. How would you evaluate it?
Well, I think we always have to start by extending our condolences to Mandela's family and to all who loved him and held him in such high regard throughout the world, really. It's a tough day, but it's really a day, as you say, to celebrate his life, to celebrate his legacy. And so I think for many of us, we remember really, and we will always remember this revolutionary, the freedom fighter who fought so admirably for justice, for freedom, for equality in South Africa, but really around the world. So I think primary above all else is the sense that, this is a champion for social justice, for human dignity, for human rights. And it is his vision and courage that continues in spite of the mortal being having passed on to join the ancestors.
He could have done so many things. He was a lawyer long before he was an activist, and yet he took on this task. He wasn't the only one. Everybody knows that. There was Oliver Tambo, there was Walter Sisulu, just to mention two. But he really captured the symbol of what the struggle was about. Why do you think it was him?
Well, he was part of a movement, really. A movement, you mentioned some of the names, Ahmed Kathrada, these people who were visionaries. They had a sense that they, as leaders in South Africa, in Africa, and in the world, had an opportunity to hold up a banner of freedom, a banner of political emancipation, which they actually won, but using
Mandela
sometimes...
Mandela became that symbol. What was it about him that made the whole world, presidents, queens, kings, open their doors and say, come? In fact, Queen Elizabeth told him, you can call me Elizabeth. Apparently, she's not told many people that. What is it about him?
Well, again, movements build leaders sometimes, and I think the fact that Mandela, he was a leader. Let's remember his traditional name, it means troublemaker.
Wally Tlatla.
From the start, right? Troublemaker. He was an agitator. He was a movement builder, an organizer. And he was part of a movement that fought and won political emancipation. And I think now there is still much work to be done to bring not only political emancipation, but true economic justice for South Africa, and for the world.
And that was really a core of his principles, social justice, not only for the world, but specifically for South Africans. How far do you think that aspiration is being carried forward through his successors? First, of course, President Thabo Mbeki, and now Jacob Zuma.
Well, that's why I think it's so important to uphold the legacy of Mandela today, because there is still a lot of work to be done. And clearly, we absolutely recognize that, there's a lot of inequality in South Africa.
And what do you think will be the future of the ANC? Because so many times over the elections we've heard that many still associate the ANC with Mandela, and that's why they keep voting for it. Do you think that things are going to change now that Mandela is no more?
South Africa next year celebrates 20 years since the end of apartheid, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And
well, we're going to have you back. I have to cut you off, but Emira Woods of the Institute for Policy Studies should be joining us again shortly. Back to you, Vincent.